thank you for your patience during our short little switch and a brief intermission. The Chamber Orchestra is going to perform a piece by Antonio Vivaldi. Program note written by Jacob Warner mentioned that he was nicknamed the Red Priest because that was his course of study before he discovered that he really just missed music so much, and then he went that route. Of course, you're all familiar with the Four Seasons, but this is a delightful little concerto for orchestra, and it's the first movement, and I believe Jacob wrote, it's just extremely fiery, like the comet that was happening around the time that he wrote it. So we'll play the first movement from Vivaldi's Concerto for Orchestra in D. The next piece, the Lumberman's Chorale and Fugue, just again, I want to draw your attention to the note written by Sarah Doctor. And through the course of the night, I've been mentioning these program notes. As many of you know, this year the district has a one-to-one Chromebook usage, and we've been using it to really enhance our instruction. And one of the things that we did was we had students research the composers and the pieces, and then from that research, we had the students look at program notes and effective ways to write program notes, and then they all had to write program notes, and all done with Chromebooks, through the course of rehearsal. And then the students went through and read some of their classmates' notes and voted on the ones that they felt were appropriate for tonight. And Sarah mentioned that we studied this piece and that he wrote it in the style of J.S. Bach. Bach was a master at the chorale and fugue, and so we took the time to study fugues. And a fugue is a composition where you've got a melody, a motive, and it's called the subject, and it's presented. And then the same material is presented by another group of instruments, a fifth lower, and the original group of instruments keeps playing. Then the subject is played again, and eventually we've got all four groups playing, having come in with a subject and then answered, and then there's episodes. And we looked at different videos of it, and we've really just had a tremendous time working on this piece that lends itself for studying the fugue. With all that, we'll now perform the Lumberman's Chorale and Fugue. Reinhard Ortiz is the next person responsible for our program note with our Fields of Gold, written by Gordon Sumner, as you may or may not know, as Sting. And we found interestingly that he actually lived near Fields of Gold and was inspired by them to write this tune. It's a delightful piece that works really well for string orchestra, so we hope you enjoy it. Angelique Steenhagen was responsible for the program note regarding Holst's St. Paul's Suite. We're doing the first movement, the jig, and as she mentioned, it goes in between 6/8 time and 9/8 time, and then there are moments where it's in 2/4, and then some of the times are against each other, which makes it really challenging work. This piece required a lot of sectionals, and so my colleague, Mrs. Janet Heineman, and I, with both this orchestra and the other orchestra, take the opportunity of our long block class periods to send kids out One of them will work in small groups with me, the other small groups with Mrs. Heineman, and it allows us to get a little more individualized instruction to the individual instruments. So, Mrs. Heineman, are you, so on behalf of Mrs. Heineman and myself, we now perform Holst's Jig from the St. Paul Suite.